Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Let's go start now. WWE kicked off its European Summer Tour with last night's Friday Night SmackDown emanating from Dublin, Ireland for the first time ever. The show aired live around the globe on Netflix, whereas it aired in its regular time slot in the United States on tape delay on the USA Network. As expected, the crowd was red hot from start to finish, with Dublin's own Becky Lynch, the Women's Intercontinental Champion, kicking off SmackDown. The episode also featured an incredible promo from John Cena, as well as a crowd that really wanted to see The Miz. It was a fun show for the most part, with several superstars impressing with their matches and segments, although it did have its fair share of disappointing TV. Nevertheless, it did mark an improvement over the quality of SmackDown episodes over the last few weeks. In this listicle, we shall discuss the best and worst of last night's WWE SmackDown. Best, Becky Lynch kicks off SmackDown in Dublin, Ireland. Despite being a Raw superstar, it only seemed apt that Becky Lynch, an Irish icon and arguably the greatest female wrestler of all time, kicked off last night's SmackDown. She initially appeared to be legitimately emotional as she received the welcome she deserved from her hometown audience. Still, after playing along with them for a bit, big-time Bex got down to business. The man suddenly shifted gears as she turned on the crowd, once again illustrating greatness with her effortless heel work. And as entertaining as it may have been for the audience watching on TV, it had to have been a special moment for Becky Lynch as well as the crowd in attendance. It was an awesome way to kick off the show, but the segment unfortunately went downhill when Lynch was interrupted. Worst, the presentation of Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax, and Jade Cargill. Tiffany Stratton interrupted Becky Lynch, and a lackluster promo by the WWE Women's Champion was followed by an even more disappointing one from Nia Jax. When Lynch and Jax double-teamed Stratton, Jade Cargill made the save, setting up the tag team main event for last night's SmackDown. The problem is how awfully Stratton, Jax, and Cargill have been presented over the past few months. Their undeveloped characters and lack of promo ability, coupled with overexposure due to a lack of other top women on the roster who can be elevated into those spots, completely sucked the air out of the division. And that's exactly what they did to a sensational promo featuring hometown girl Becky Lynch. Overall, it was just an uninspired booking and continued a string of boring TV segments. Why couldn't Becky Lynch have been featured in a champion versus champion main event against Tiffany Stratton on SmackDown last night? The match could have ended in some kind of DQ finish before Jade Cargill made the save to advance the Stratton-Cargill story, and that probably would have landed better if that moment had closed the show. Alternatively, Lynch could also have been involved in a champion versus champion match with United States champion Julia. More on that later. Best, we want Miz. The Miz and Carmelo Hayes faced Motor City Machine Guns in the first match of the night on SmackDown, and the crowd made it clear who they were there to see. The most must-see superstar in WWE history basked in the fans' adulation, with fans chanting, "We want Miz," whenever he was not the legal man and cheering wildly when he tagged in. Consequently, they also booed whenever Hayes tagged in too. This worked well with the basic story of the match, which saw Hayes and Miz constantly trying to one-up each other. While this would ordinarily lead to miscommunication followed by a loss, and then eventual tensions in the weeks to follow, and a repeat of what happened last week, The Miz picked up a pin after Hayes took out Chris Sabin, but was taken out by Alex Shelley himself. It was classic Miz, the veteran stealing a win for himself using his smarts, and the Dublin crowd reacted to that the way most people secretly do, enjoying wildly as their favorite cheat picked up a major win. The story between Miz and Hayes is sure to lead to a babyface turn, and if reactions such as tonight's continue to persist, The Miz may be turning babyface again soon. Worst, the Women's United States Championship picture. Last night saw another backstage segment featuring Mia Yim, Kiana James, and Julia, and the proceedings implied that Yim would be wrestling James imminently to potentially earn a title shot against Julia. While that was more headway than we have made in this picture over the past 2 months combined, there was so much more that WWE could have done with Julia tonight. A champion versus champion match with Becky Lynch last night on SmackDown could have been massive for Julia, and she could also have been involved as Lynch's tag team partner in the main event instead of Nia Jax. Instead, the Women's United States Champion continues to remain an afterthought, and we are likely to see Yim beat James for a shot at Julia in the next few weeks before Julia predictably dispatches of Yim. Nikki Cross was seen on screen sneaking up and keeping an eye on what was going on, too, but until the pace of storytelling improves and more interesting personalities arise to vie for the Women's United States Championship, Julia and the title itself are unlikely to be anything more than overlooked and underutilized. Best, Charlotte Flair gets exposed on SmackDown. Charlotte Flair suffered a surprising loss to Piper Niven on SmackDown last night, which exposed a weakness in her character. She needs Alexa Bliss by her side to survive in the tag team division. The goddess's absence last night could initiate a realization in Charlotte that she needs her tag team partner by her side now. This subtle storytelling maneuver allowed the Charlotte-Alexa dynamic to evolve in the latter's absence, while also giving Piper Niven a massive win and furthering Niven and Alba Fire's case for a shot at the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Bliss and Flair stick out as among the few bright spots in the SmackDown Women's division right now, and hopefully their relationship continues to be explored in depth and a breakup is not rushed. Words of obeisance from a mere mortal can barely do justice to John Cena's verbal performance against Logan Paul last night on SmackDown, much like words from a mere mortal couldn't have even come close to replicating that kind of promo. John Cena absolutely buried Logan Paul last night, and he followed up on that. Cena shockingly even flipped the bird last night with an attitude adjustment to lay Paul out. Among the hits of the segment on SmackDown was fans chanting WR at the social media sensation, and when Cena later referenced the one word that has been constant in describing Logan Paul throughout his WWE tenure, he had originally meant outsider, but conceded that the Dublin crowd was right as well. Cena then clarified that he didn't believe Paul to be an outsider. Cena did, however, consider him a disappointment. John Cena trashed Logan Paul for using WWE as a tool to market Prime, and in a phrase reminiscent of his promo against Austin Theory, warned Paul that his match against Cena at Clash in Paris would be the most important match of his career. Cena also mentioned the likes of Dominic Mysterio, Seth Rollins, and Jacob Fatu as people he would have much rather faced on his farewell tour. He added how fans could see through Paul and the fact that he was there for the wrong reasons and didn't deserve to be facing Cena. Tathya Sachdev is an undergraduate student majoring in English literature and an aspiring professional snooker player. Before joining Sportskeeda's WWE Trends division, Tathya spent a year as a news writer for Wrestling News and Wrestling Headlines and has contributed editorials to various publications. Tathya got hooked on wrestling during the road to WrestleMania 34 when there was widespread speculation about a potential John Cena versus The Undertaker match because they had always been the two most popular stars amongst the casual viewing audience in the country. The build-up to their match fueled his curiosity. Despite the brief match, he began exploring wrestling through Sportskeeda during this time, which led him to become passionate about the industry. CM Punk is a standout figure for Tathya, as he believes the star is a true master of blending fiction and reality in wrestling. Among a whole lot of things about CM Punk, he also resonates with Punk's mantra, "I'm straight edge, and straight edge means I'm better than you." Tathya interviewed wrestling stars such as Gunther and Drew McIntyre at the WWE Superstar Spectacle 2023 in Hyderabad. WWE SmackDown once again delivered a show filled with electrifying moments, questionable booking decisions, and a fair share of drama that had fans buzzing long after the final bell. From John Cena verbally dismantling Logan Paul to Charlotte Flair being exposed in the ring, to The Miz proving why he remains one of WWE's most consistent acts, the Blue brand gave us plenty to talk about. Let's dive into the best and worst of the night. Best, John Cena buries Logan Paul on the mic. To WWE television, he always makes headlines. The 16-time world champion once again showcased why he's one of the greatest talkers in wrestling history. His target this time? None other than Logan Paul, the United States champion and social media sensation who has been riding high on mainstream popularity. Cena's promo was surgical. Without resorting to cheap shots, he stripped Logan down to size, pointing out that while Logan thrives in the digital space, the WWE ring is a different battlefield. Cena emphasized that Paul hasn't paid his dues the way WWE legends have, and that relying on viral stunts will never equate to genuine greatness inside the squared circle. The moment felt eerily similar to Cena's iconic promo battles with The Rock and Roman Reigns. Once again, Cena leaned into his reputation as the voice of authenticity, hammering home the idea that Logan Paul is living on borrowed time in a world he doesn't fully belong to. The live crowd ate it up, booing Logan while cheering Cena's every word. This was easily the highlight of the night. It not only teased a potential blockbuster match between Cena and Paul, but also reminded fans why Cena remains a master at making his opponents look both vulnerable and dangerous at the same time. If WWE follows through, this could be one of the biggest celebrity-driven feuds in company history. Worst, Charlotte Flair exposed. Charlotte Flair has long been presented as one of the most dominant women in WWE history, with her accolades and title reigns cementing her legacy. However, this week's SmackDown highlighted some glaring cracks in her armor. In her match, Charlotte struggled with pacing, timing, and crowd connection. Fans have often accused her of being overly mechanical in her performances, and those critiques rang true once again. What made matters worse was that her opponent carried much of the match's energy, exposing Charlotte's lack of fluidity when things weren't completely in her control. What once felt like the Queen exuding dominance now came off as stale. The formula of hitting signature moves, strutting around the ring, and expecting fans to react no longer carries the same weight. Instead of feeling like the best of her generation, Charlotte looked like a star resting too heavily on her name value. This isn't to discredit her talent. Charlotte is capable of big match magic. But SmackDown proved that when placed in a situation where her opponent shines brighter, her weaknesses become glaring. For someone positioned as the standard bearer of the women's division, this was a disappointing outing that exposed just how much WWE relies on her aura rather than consistent performance. Best, The Miz is awesome again. There's an old saying in wrestling, consistency is key. Few embody that better than The Miz. On this week's SmackDown, he once again reminded the WWE Universe why he's one of the most valuable performers in the company. The Miz delivered a promo segment that was equal parts entertaining, witty, and self-aware. He leaned into his reputation as an egotistical heel but balanced it with genuine comedic timing that had the audience laughing along. Unlike others who try to force humor, Miz's delivery feels natural. Later in the night, he competed in a match that showcased his underrated in-ring psychology. While he may not be the flashiest or most athletic superstar, Miz understands how to tell a story. Every move had meaning, every expression carried weight, and his ability to rile up the crowd is second to none. It's moments like this that prove Miz's longevity. He doesn't always need to be in the main event, but when given the spotlight, he maximizes it. In an era where WWE sometimes struggles to create compelling mid-card stories, The Miz provides a reliable bridge between comedy, drama, and in-ring action. SmackDown benefited greatly from his presence. Worst, weak tag team booking. One of the glaring issues with SmackDown continues to be the mishandling of its tag team division. While the company has world-class teams under contract, creative seems unable or unwilling to build meaningful rivalries outside of the top contenders. This week's show featured yet another throwaway tag match with little build, minimal stakes, and no long-term direction. It's frustrating for fans who remember the golden era of tag team wrestling in WWE, where teams like the USOs, the New Day, and even legacy acts like the Dudley Boys thrived in meaningful storylines. Instead, SmackDown's tag scene feels like filler. Matches happen simply for the sake of filling TV time, rather than advancing compelling arcs. Until WWE invests in crafting storylines that elevate the division, these matches will continue to feel like wasted opportunities. Best, rising stars get a chance. Despite some booking frustrations, SmackDown did deliver on the promise of elevating newer talent. Several rising stars were given promo time and meaningful matches, proving that WWE is at least trying to plant seeds for the future. Whether it was a breakout moment in a backstage segment or a competitive showing in the ring, these younger wrestlers looked like they belonged. SmackDown thrives when it blends established legends with fresh blood, and this week provided a glimpse of how the Blue brand could evolve in the coming months. Worst, over-reliance on recaps. Another frustrating aspect of SmackDown was the heavy use of video recaps. While it's understandable to highlight key moments from Raw or previous SmackDown episodes, the show leaned too heavily on replays instead of fresh content. Fans who tune in weekly don't want to watch recycled footage. They want to see new storylines progress in real time. This reliance on video packages often kills momentum and eats into time that could be used to showcase talent. For a 2-hour show, every segment counts, and padding it with recaps only exposes creative laziness. Final thoughts. SmackDown this week was a mixed bag. The undeniable high point came from John Cena verbally eviscerating Logan Paul, setting the stage for what could be a blockbuster feud. On the other end of the spectrum, Charlotte Flair's underwhelming showing reminded fans that even top stars can falter when stripped of their aura. Balancing those lows, The Miz once again proved why he's one of WWE's most reliable acts, bringing both entertainment and storytelling to the table. However, the continued neglect of the tag division and reliance on filler segments dragged the show down. In the end, SmackDown delivered enough memorable moments to keep fans engaged, but also highlighted some long-term problems that WWE must address. With Cena stirring the pot, Miz shining, and younger stars showing promise, the future looks interesting. But unless WWE corrects the weaknesses, particularly in the women's division consistency and tag team booking, the blue brand risks falling into patterns of predictability.